Imagine a world where we have sight, but everything in our view is black and white with many shades of monotonous grays. Things may appear to be practically functional in terms of viewing shapes and depths, but in reality, without the world of colors, the experience of beauty cannot be truly experienced. For example, people who are colorblind, and when they for the first time see and experience color through the help of special glasses, they immediately become emotional and grateful for being able to experience that sight of color, as it is something that is deeply pleasing and appealing to the perceiver. In such, the true beauty of things cannot be enumerated without the special and sophisticated process of experiencing this vivid and rich world of colors. And He subjected you, whatever He created on earth of varying color. Surely, in this is a sign for those who are mindful. Surah Nahl, verse 13. All the color we perceive are an effect of light. This is proven when we bend light from a prism or crystal to reveal a full rainbow spectrum of color range. The seemingly colorless sunlight actually contains all the color we can see, but at different wavelengths. In fact, color itself is light of a particular wavelength reflected. When sunlight falls on an object, the surface of the object absorbs some of the light and reflects the rest of it. Which wavelength a light are reflected or absorbed depends on the properties of the object. So say an object is a red apple. It would absorb all the wavelengths of light except for the one that corresponds with the color red, and we would thus see that the apple is red. The process of actually seeing colors is a sophisticated, intricate, and remarkable process. We have a tiny area called the fohea centralis all the way at the back of our eyes that are responsible for us seeing color. This area has millions of light receptors called cones and rods, which react to light and tells our brain what color we can see. The cones in our eyes are active in light-rich environments and responds most strongly to the color red, green, and blue, in that order. So when we see the banana, the light from the banana hits the cones and stimulates them. They send a message across our brain via our optic nerve, which processes the information and tells us what color we're looking at. Amazingly, an average human can see 10 million colors with only 3 types of cones. This is unquestionably an amazing process. Now, keeping in mind the sequence in which colors are seen, we find an interesting verse in the Quran that highlights Allah's infinite wisdom. See you not that Allah sent down rain from the sky? With it we then bring out produce of various colors, and in the mountains are tracks, white, red, and various shades of color, and black, intense in hue. Surah Fatir, verse 27. This verse mentions how rain from the sky gave life to the lifeless earth with varying colors of plants, and the second part of the verse, that mountains have tracks of whites, reds, and various colors and intense blacks. We now know that there are various colors of mountains with various degrees of colors, such as white mountains, red mountains, brown mountains, and even jet black mountains. For example, in Cheltenham Badlands in Ontario, Canada, which exhibit reddish hue on the Queenstone shale that form them. The iron oxide in the shales produce the color. The narrow, greenish bands that can be seen throughout the shales are due to the change of red iron oxide to green iron oxide brought on by the circulating groundwater. Amazingly, in some rare places, such as in western China and Peru, there exists the world's most amazing colorful streak mountains. At first glance of these mountains, it almost seems unreal and that we have stepped into some surreal but magnificent wonderland. These mountains are indeed have various streaks of colors in many range. Such is the truth of Allah's words. The sequence mentioned in the verse is extremely significant to mention. Allah gives the sequence of whites, reds, and various colors and then mentions intense blacks at the end. There are immense leverage in this sequence as after mentioning the full color white, which contains all the colors of light's visible spectrum, then the primary color red, which is the most distinct color, and it is at the outermost end of the visible spectrum. It descends through other colors of range towards the inner ends, such as orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, and approaches the pure black or intense black, which is without being color at the other end of the continuum and is the complete opposite of white. This verse not only depicts the full range of visible colors, but also invisible electromagnetic spectrum. Following from this, as we now know from astronomy, our sun is hot and appears to us as bright white or yellow. However, the hottest stars, such as Sirius, are known as category A stars, and they are hotter than our sun. Its surface temperature is about 17,000 degrees Fahrenheit, in contrast to our sun's, which is 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Sirius is so hot that it glows blue. Then, at greater temperatures, stars become almost invisible to us in space as they become completely black. That is why to detect them, astronomers use black body radiation to study these inconceivable hot stars. Relating to this phenomena, a famous hadith mentions, hellfire was burnt for 1,000 years. It became red. Then it was burned for another 1,000 years and it became white. Then it was burned for another 1,000 years. Now it is black and dark. Reported by Abu Hurairah Tirmidhi. To emphasize the degree of heat, it is said the heat of hellfire is 70 times that of our ordinary fire. It is impossible to know that color changes as the heat intensity rises, which depicts one of Allah's infinite signs of truth throughout these varying range of colors. There are also many wisdoms to be found in many of the colors that Allah reveals to us in nature as well. To mention a few, for example, the color white represents wisdom, truth, and knowledge to see all that is visible. This is not only true spiritually, but it is also true in a practical sense of our visible light as well. The color blue is near the end of the visible spectrum, and spiritually speaking, it is closer to the dark end of the spectrum. Interestingly, Allah mentions the color blue in the following context. Beware of the day the trumpet will be blown, and we will gather the wicked on the day, blue-faced from horror and thirst. Surah Taha, verse 102. Furthermore, the color blue is not a color that can be found a lot in nature. It is rare, just like the beautiful blue colors on peacocks, and also rare like the stars like Sirius found in our universe. And when they do appear, they seem to be undeniably beautiful and breathtaking. The color blue in nature appears not in the form of pigment, but in the form of shapes, whether it is on the feather scales of birds or butterfly wings, but also in the iris of blue eyes. They appear to us in shapes in special sequence which creates a majestic appearance of the color blue, which can be said to be a type of optical illusion. The same can be said of the blue sky, as the sky is not literally blue in pigment, but blue or violet lights are scattered more strongly than other colors, giving the impression of the sky is blue. The complicated and refined process of how we visually experience the color blue is indeed a sign for us to ponder upon the power and awe-inspiring abilities of Allah. There is also many majestic reference of the color green as well. It is said green is the preferred color of Jannah. As example, garments and cushions will be green in Jannah. On earth, the color green is associated with life and complements all other primary and secondary colors in the form of leaves and stems paired with various range of colors in flowers. Green recurrently appears throughout the Quran as a delightful color that symbolizes life. This is evidently because green, by turning light energy into life energy, converting the inorganic into organic matter, represents the ultimate source of all life on earth. Interestingly, the color green falls in the middle of the visible spectrum. What better color to represent Islam, the middle way, a religion of moderation, than the color green? So now that we have seen some portrayal of color in our world and how they appear to us, it is indeed a profound and deep sign for us to contemplate Allah's magnificent signs. And amazingly, just like the 7 visible spectrum or wavelength of colors, Allah mentions the word colors 7 times in total in the Quran. With such apparent but simple and deeply profound notion of colors, Allah is inviting His servants to remember Him in the most perfect way.